All right. Hello and good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to our weekly conference call. Of course, all those who are live, I know you well. We do this routine. I'm actually doing something a little different today. I am live streaming this to one of our private Facebook groups, which is called Faith in Business. Faith in Business is kind of an extension of what we do on the call with Red Earth. We have a group of folks here locally in Wilmington who join us every month for a regular gathering. And this service that we provide to Red Earth is kind of a function of our Faith in Business vertical within our organization, Uprint, really helping individuals and businesses begin to work through some challenges that they face, really tap into a greater sense of excellence, navigate some struggles, and hopefully provide some encouragement so you guys can walk this out. We also do one-to-one, both counseling, mentoring, and kind of business consulting as part of the extension of what we offer here. So I wanted to give the folks on Facebook a snapshot of what we do with our team. And the Red Earth team, of course, is on the call today. These folks, most of them are in Alabama. There's some other communities scattered across the country that we work with every week. So thank you guys for being here and looking forward to diving in to today's call. So I have titled today's call or today's talk is how do you deal with stress? How do you deal with stress? It's a novel title, and I'm going to take it in a couple of directions. Hopefully make enough impactful points that we can draw some gold nuggets out of it in the end. But this is a response to what I see a lot around me. You know, for those who are with us at Red Earth, you know, we went through a lull earlier in the year with everything going on with COVID, shutdown, lockdown. The real estate market really slowed down a good bit. And I was telling you back then, hey guys, don't let it get you down. Keep your focus. Keep doing the things you're supposed to be doing. It will come back, right? And I hope everybody on the call is nodding in agreement, because that's what I absolutely said. I said, guys, it will come back. Trust me, it will come back. Keep doing the right things that you need to be doing. Keep your focus. Don't get discouraged, and let's stay the course, because it will come back in a time. And are you going to be ready when it comes back? You know, and you guys have done very well with that. There's been a huge success for you guys. We worked a lot of realtors actually in differing capacities, and the market right now is just incredible. So with an incredible market comes incredible demands. And again, I know everybody watching this is nodding in agreement. Yes, when things are busy, things tend to get crazy, a lot of demands. And what does that do? It causes stress to rise up. How do we begin to deal with stress? So that's why we're having the topic that we're having today, because I really feel like it's what a lot of people may be enjoying. In fact, Jen, one of our folks here on the call, jumped on and showed us the front porch of where she's working from today. Beautiful weather outside, and that's something very simple. Just to get yourself outside, to be in nature, you know, to pause for a second, stand in the sunshine, you know, ground yourself in the grass if you need to, listen to the birds, whatever. Those are just kind of some practical things that, quite frankly, a lot of folks don't do, and they should, because it does help with stress. So that being said, stress is something that God gave us, right? So stress in and of itself as an entity is not necessarily a bad thing. Stress is part of a response mechanism in the body to usually an external set of conditions that causes you to move toward fight or flight, right? So stress is not a bad thing. It was given to us for a purpose. But we have to understand it, which is why I'm starting there, in order to move beyond it. Because what God did not give us is a spirit of fear or anxiety. And I'm referencing God simply because that's kind of the baseline that we use, is to say, you know, this is how this works. It was, you know, we didn't set this whole thing up. We were created. What do we learn as we study this about how we were created? So when the body senses stress, there is a hormone called cortisol that is produced. And when cortisol is produced, it reduces blood flow to the organs, and it can create this kind of flight or fight moment where your hormones are running, and it's intended to keep you safe. It's intended to allow you in a moment to begin to make decisions and move, but you're not created to live in that constant state. So I want to start off by saying that stress in and of itself is not a bad thing, but you were not created to live in it constantly. It's a momentary thing to get you out of a situation, not something you're called to live in. But what happens is because we don't understand the dynamics of stress and how it is intended for our good, we end up living in a constant state of stress, and that is damaging to our body. When we are stressed, we tend not to sleep as well, and that affects everything with our body as far as the restoration of our cells, the regeneration of all of the different bodily functions. Like, this is how we were created. We were created to regenerate. We were created to be restored in a cyclical fashion. But stress interrupts that because it interrupts sleep. Stress also brings about acidity, right, in the body. There's studies that show that stress is related with acid reflux. It's related with other illnesses, increased inflammation. Again, I'm not trying to be like Mr. Science guy, but stress, when you live in a constant state of stress, it is not healthy for your body. It interrupts the natural cycle that God created to rejuvenate, restore your best functioning self. And so what I want to say as a kind of first point today is that good fruit can only grow in good soil. If stress is acidic to your body, if it causes inflammation in your body, all of these different things, that means that your body, your spirit, your soul, your being cannot produce good fruit when it's in a constant state of stress or acidity. And so I would say, to start off today, do a litmus test of your stress. A litmus test of your stress. You take a litmus test to test the acidity of soil. My wife had given me these strips where you actually can test your saliva to see if your body is acidic. Think about your being. Are you someone who lives in a constant state of stress? Do you struggle with anxiety? Do you struggle with fear? Do you struggle with worry? It's natural to have moments of stress, but it's not healthy to live in a constant state of it. And so when things are busy in our life and we've got external demands, it causes a heightened sense of stress. Now, right now, I will say that we are in a crazy environment with social media and with media and with an election year and with the pandemic and with social. And I do believe, this isn't like Johnny Conspiracy, but I believe that there are powers that be that want to keep people living in stress and fear, because when people live in stress and fear, they are easily swayed, easily manipulated, and easily taken advantage of. And so whatever powers that be, whoever that might be, they would benefit from a stressed, fearful, anxious people. And so be mindful of this is all I'm saying, that this is all coming together in kind of a tornado of stress that has the capacity to derail your effectiveness and rob you of joy and peace in the midst of this season. Not to mention how damaging it is to your body, how damaging it is. I was telling my wife the other day, there are probably more people negatively impacted from the pandemic, not from getting COVID, but from living in a constant state of stress that makes their body more susceptible to cancer cells, etc., inflammation, autoimmune situations, whatever, right? Now, this is real stuff that we deal with, but we don't want to deal with the problem, which is our stress, fear, anxiety. We want to deal with the external thing. If we fix the external, then we feel like the internal. But I'm here today to tell you that you can operate without stress in the midst of a demanding environment around you. You absolutely can. And so today I want to talk about how we were created not to live in that place of stress and how we begin to navigate it. Okay? So I'm going to deal with a couple of those things. Number one, the key piece on this is you have to know that rest, well, first of all, let me define it this way. What is stress? Okay? What is stress? I would define stress as the absence of rest. Stress is the absence of rest. Now, I'm not talking about sleep. I'm not talking about being awake. I'm talking about rest, a state of rest, a state of restfulness in your mind, in your spirit, in your heart, a state of peace. Stress is the opposite of that, or the absence of that. When there is no peace, when there is no rest, then you're operating in some kind of stress. So by the counterpoint, rest then and peace is the absence of stress. And so that state of rest, that state of peace is something that you were given. Let me prove this to you. Now, I'm using a biblical foundation for this. Take it or leave it. I'm not telling you have to believe it. It's a declaration, of how we were created. It said, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So, great question. What was God doing before he created the heavens and earth? He was at rest. You know, the declaration is that God is eternal. He was at rest, and then at a time called the beginning, he came from rest to create. So the world around us started from a place of rest and then came into being. So God goes on to create. The sixth day, he creates man, right? Forms Adam, etc., etc. What happens the next day? He rests. So God rested, created, and rested. The very first day that man ever existed on the earth, by this declaration, what did he do? He rested. Rest is the beginning of things, not the end of things. I want you to hear it this way. You do not have to work for rest. You are called and created to work from rest. From rest, not for it. Think of not the end of the day being what you strive for. Think of coming out of rest to begin your day. Every day, for most people, begins with rest. They come out of rest to create, and then they go back to rest. This is the natural cycle that God gave us, and it's how we were created to live. Unless we choose to understand this and tap into it, we constantly live in a state that is oppositional to this. It's gotta go, gotta hustle, gotta build, gotta drive, gotta strive, gotta work until you completely remove every functional piece of your being and you riddle yourself with stress and worry and anxiety and fear and inflammation and sickness. And what does that ultimately lead to? Death. Okay? This is not me trying to be Debbie Downer. I'm trying to say, let's look around and say, am I operating in an environment that is counter to the environment I was creating to operate in? You know, people go, well, stress is good for me. It's good motivation. Okay, cool. Awesome. Have a good day. I'm here to tell you that it is damaging and you cannot constantly live in that state. You have to learn that rest is something that was given to you. It's not something you have to work for. It's not something you have to earn. A good buddy of mine, always said that earn your pillow, right? Earn your pillow. And the sentiment there is live a day where you poured it all out and you are worthy of saying, yes, I'm going to put a stamp of excellence on that day. But that is not a true statement. You don't have to earn your pillow. You were given rest. You get to work from it, not for it. So that's kind of the dynamic of how we were created from rest. We get to live from rest. We need to learn how to embrace rest, okay? And know this too. It's interesting. I use Jesus as a teacher, as a model, as a guide in what I look to. And it's amazing to me that one of the first thing that Jesus said to his followers after his death and resurrection was, "My peace I give to you. My peace I give to you." Now, you have to question whether or not you choose to receive that. Because it says also, too, that the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus came and had life and have it abundantly. So we have to know that there's a system of the world that is waging war against our peace, against our rest, coming to steal, kill, and destroy. And so we wake up living in that kind of environment every day, where we live in a world system and in a culture that wants to take our rest from us, take our joy from us, take our peace from us. Doesn't mean we have to remove ourselves from that environment, but we have to remove its effect on us. So I've talked about a lot. Talked about stress. It's acidic. Good fruit doesn't grow. We have to get a hold of this. How were we created? Created to live from rest, not for it. It was given to us. We have to choose to take it. Now, how? Okay, these are all big, good ideas. And how do we begin to do this? All right. Number one, I think that you have to start by creating moments in your day where you choose rest. Because for me, listen, I lived in a constant state of getting stuff done. In fact, I prided myself on, I'm the dude that gets stuff done. And so Matt was a doer. I had to-do lists everywhere. I had charts that were, and I constantly lived from that place. Until the Lord called me away from my insurance career, I had to learn how to rest. I had to learn how to detach myself emotionally from every single demand of the day. I had to learn how to say no to things that didn't serve me. I had to learn to protect my time and protect myself from the things that wanted to draw me in. There's something I'm working through still that I want to say. It's almost as if stress is, it's like a magnet. Right? When stress sees an opposite, okay? The magnetics are attracted, right? Or opposites, and you can push the magnets and they kind of bounce back and forth. When stress sees stress, it's attached to it. That's why negativity, it thrives on itself. It's like people suck you in. If you're in a negative state, people are negative. It sucks you into that negativity. And that's why most of the time, if you see somebody who is walking in freedom, walking in peace, walking in rest, it makes stressed out people very pissed off. Because they go, oh, look at them. They're just always so bubbly, so joyful. It's because stress has a polarizing effect in it. And it's like, stress is not attracted to peace. It's oppositional to it. It's attracted to itself. So what happens in an environment is stress is trying to draw you into itself because it is naturally opposed to peace, joy, rest. So if it can turn you into a stressed state, it can draw you to itself. I hope that makes sense. I'm still working through that thought, but that's something as I was preparing that really, it was this polarization. I see two magnets, and I see a stress magnet and a peace magnet, and they're fighting against each other, and the stress, all the stress can do is turn that magnet over to the opposite side, which is stress, and then it gets connected to it, right? And so that's an illustration there. So how do you begin to do this, right? Well, knowledge is first step. You have to know what's going on. You have to know that this is how you were created. You have to understand that this is the environment that's going on around us. The second piece here is like I said, choose moments of rest in the day. Eventually, you'll get to a place where you can just live from this place. Like rest and peace are your natural state of being. And you feel moments of stress, but those are the abnormality. Most people live in a state of stress or heightened anxiety, and so peace and rest are the abnormality. So you have to practice moments of peace and rest in order to begin to train yourself that this is actually what you were created for, so that stress and anxiety become the abnormality. And so create moments in your day where you can truly experience peace and rest. For me, that's in the morning, waking up before everybody else. I spend time in the Word. I spend time in thanksgiving. I spend time in praise. I spend time in envisioning. I go for walks. I spend time outside. I'll take a leave from the office and I'll go walk outside. I'll go on car rides with the windows down, no music on, not on my phone. Create moments throughout the day where you just, even like right now, I choose peace. I choose rest. I choose joy. Even something as simple as that. Just pause and do that. Another way that you can begin to remove stress is take the focus off yourself. Go do something for somebody else. If you're feeling some stress, some anxiety or whatever, choose that moment to turn yourself around and focus on giving to someone else. This morning, I was taking the kids to school, and as you can imagine, 3 boys, 10 and under, in the car. It's just la 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 la. I was feeling the stress, and so I said, "Hey guys, hang on a second. We're going to call a friend who had just lost an aunt." And we just said, "Hey, we just want to let you know we're praying for you. We're thinking about you." And it deflated the stress in the car in a moment, because we turned it from focusing on everybody fighting to, no, we're going to take this energy and we're going to turn it to blessing someone and giving to somebody else. So that's another active way that you can begin to own and function out of peace and joy. So again, I talked about a lot of different stuff. Really want to bring this down to some practicalities. Run a litmus test of your life. Understand, are you living in a constant state of stress, anxiety, worry? Know that that's not how you're created. You're created from rest. Begin to embrace moments of peace, moments of rest. You know, I read this to you guys, and this is a passage of Scripture, and we'll kind of close with this. This is Jesus teaching in the Sermon on the Mount, kind of set the stage for who he was and what he was about. Matthew 5 is where it begins. This is in Matthew 6. Verse 25, Jesus says, "Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, not about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothing?" Basically, he's saying all the stuff that you constantly focus on really is not what matters. Don't be anxious about those things. Your life is more than those things. You've got to shift your focus. "Look at the birds. They neither sow nor reap or gather, yet their heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more than them? Which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to the span of your life? And why are you anxious about your clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow and neither toil nor spin. Yet even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is today alive and tomorrow thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? Therefore do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat, what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the Gentiles seek after these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them all." And this is the verse. "But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness," which is Jesus himself, "and all these things will be added unto you. Therefore do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble." This is one of those classic verses we've heard. If you grew up in church, you know, you've heard it kind of blah, blah from a pulpit or whatever. It's not just about, don't be anxious, you know. It's truly Jesus going, you were not created to thrive and live in this state of constant anxiety, worrying about all these other things. You were created by God for his kingdom. That's why you need to seek that perspective. And all the other stuff will be added. And so the ultimate point in all of this is really wrestling with, do I choose to step into this by faith and try to live in a different way? Or do I constantly want to live in this way where the world is trying to sell you a candidate, a pill, a solution, a CBD oil, a practice of meditation that promises to give you something better? That's your choice. I'm telling you, in my life, I've done all that. And I'm operating from this now, which is this idea of peace and rest is something that's given to me. I'm going to operate from that place, not from anxiety. I'm going to guard my heart against the things that war against that. And I'm telling you guys, this is the key that begins to unlock awakening and an unlimited joy. But most people are unwilling to do the work to press into it because of the constant state of the noise. My hope is that this year has been frustrating enough for some folks to slow them down to the point where they go, you know what? I might think about diving into something different. And the something different's kind of been here all along. It's just we misappropriated it maybe. So again, in lieu of feeling preachy, I just wanted to pour this out for you guys today because I feel so strongly this is where the majority of people are living right now, and it is literally killing them slowly. And not to be Debbie Downer, it's just the reality of what we see. You know, we see this every day in our one-to-one people reaching out. And so I want to be bold enough to stand up and say this to you guys, to say, listen, things are great right now. You're busy. You've got clients coming in, and it's good. But the tendency and temptation is going to be to draw you into a stressful state, but do not let it. Do not let it. And as always, if we can be here to help you guys, please reach out. Let me know, matt@uprint.life. My cell's 910-619-4644. But so appreciate you guys. Thanks for joining us on the call. To our Facebook community here for you guys as well. I'm going to wrap up. You guys be in touch. Leave something in the comments if you want to connect, and we'll go from there.